Well, Penguins finally lost back-to-back games for the first time since November 29th and December 1st. Basically, it's been 2 full months since this team has not won 2 in a row. I'm going to break it all down for you all right after the shot for the Friday edition of this podcast.
You're Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome back to this Friday evening edition of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter, of course, Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter, LO_Penguins as well. So the Penguins, as I said in my intro, fall 3-2 in a shootout, their first back-to-back losses, since November 29th and December 1st, as I said as well. Just very consistent hockey play. So now in their last 21 games, they are 17-2-2, which is just ridiculous consistency. First thing I want to get to start off this show, I know some people are going to get, even more mad after, what happened last night and everything. I get it. I really do understand. It's annoying to lose back-to-back games, especially to two teams that are not in the playoff picture. But you know what? With how dumb the NHL's point system is, and I think it is obviously pretty dumb, they basically won one game and then lost another in regulation. So when you really think about it, you really shouldn't be too mad that they lost 2 in a row because they won one and then just lost one in regulation. They got 2 out of 4 points. That's perfectly fine with where they are. The key for the Penguins moving forward, because right now, per moneypuck.com this morning, they have a 99.6% chance to make the playoffs. They would have to be a monumental collapse coupled with the Islanders going on some 20-2-1 run or something like that. And with how they played against winning teams this year, I don't think that's likely, at least at this point, in my opinion. So I don't mind if they lose at times as long as they're gaining points, because that is what they have been doing right now. And as I said, 17-2-2. They're in direct competition with the Rangers, the Hurricanes, and the Capitals. Right now, they're 6 points up in the Capitals. It's likely going to be down to 4 after tonight because they are just lighting up Braden Holtby like a Christmas tree down in Dallas. That's fine. I really do think, as of course my text message thing goes off for my buddy who's a Red Wings fan. We were just talking during the game. This team, they're perfectly fine where they are. And, that's that. I just wanted to start off the podcast with that. Now, one of my other biggest takeaways, Jake Guentzel continues to just kill it. 23 goals this year. You continue to give this guy even the smallest bit of space, he is going to make you pay every single time. That first one, gets a rebound off Pickard's pad, puts it in. The second one, just a ridiculous pass first from Sidney Crosby. No idea how he was able to get that through about 2 or 3 to, I think it was like 3 to 4 or 6 or something like that. Guentzel was able to one-time it from right in a nice high danger area, ties the game. I don't really like, probably didn't get a lot of puck luck after that. Pickard had to come up with a lot of really nice saves. But, he's still continuing to crush it. He's probably not going to catch Chris Kreider, who has a league-leading 31 goals this year, which is ridiculous considering how old he is and the contract that he is on. Excuse me. But he is still very much just awesome for the Penguins this year. His contract continues to be a steal. I love with that one-timer, you let him drift into that kind of area right in front of the net, say about 10 feet out. He is going to bury that 10 out of 10 times. If he misses that, it's just because the goalie makes a hell of a save. Pickard had really no chance on that. Jake is going to do that to a goalie anytime. And so just a great performance from him. I thought Sid tonight, he was really killing it. He had some really nice, again, some great passes, obviously, to Guentzel. He's been firing the puck a lot more. Defensively, I thought he was strong. This is the Sidney Crosby that, we're used to seeing. So I really liked his game as well. And, of course, I have to get to the number one star of the game for the Penguins, Casey DeSmith. I really think he saved his job, or at least for the time being, with this performance. Think about it, right? If he goes out there tonight and he sucks, what do you think happens? Ron Hextall probably gets even more worried because, he was asked about this on Thursday's press conference, and, he's going to say, the typical goal general manager speak, well, we believe in him, we're not really looking to do anything right now. He can say that all he wants, but he obviously is aware of the problem. Casey DeSmith has been one of the worst goaltenders in hockey this year. But tonight, DeSmith must have listened to that and was like, okay, you believe in me, at least to the media. I'm going to go out there and show that you believe in me. And boy, did he ever. I feel bad for him because I think the Penguins wasted his best effort since last season, with how inconsistent he has been this year. Mostly bad. He has not put together even close to a performance like this since last year when, he was a 9-12, 9-13 goalie, somewhere around that area. And it's only fitting. This probably thing only happens to a select few teams, and of course the Penguins are one of them, that the save of the year halfway through, a little over halfway through, I should say, belongs to Casey DeSmith and not Tristan Jarry. Like, you can't make that up, can you? It's funny to me. I mean, the Penguins have a top 5 goaltender in the league right now, a potential future Vezina finalist, plays his tail off every night, makes save after save after save. The backup comes in on a back-to-back. He's been pretty bad, and then he makes the save of the year in overtime, just flexing that glove. And I was just like, wow, where did that come from? And can that version of Casey DeSmith please stick around for the rest of the season? Even before that save, he was absolutely ridiculous. And I think the biggest thing from what I noticed personally, he looked confident in the net. He wasn't flopping around like a fish, just, diving everywhere and all this stuff. No, he was squaring up 2 shooters and saying, I dare you to beat me. And the only 2 goals that he gave up were 2 that he had no chance on because there was some poor defensive coverage from the net. I'm going to get to that coming up in the next segment with regards to John Marino because he was absolutely awful tonight. Like I said, we'll get to that in just a second. But that, I think, is the biggest thing. What I noticed, he squared to the shooters. He looked confident. He was playing aggressive in front of the blue paint. So when he's not playing aggressive, he's back a lot farther. The same thing I noticed with Tristan Jarry as well. But, Smith, he's a smaller goalie, than Tristan. So he needs to be more aggressive. When he's not doing that, he's a very easy goaltender to beat. And you saw what happened in his previous starts where he was giving up all these lousy goals because his positioning was not right. And, he was just making the wrong reads and just everything else. And it looked like all of that was corrected tonight because, probably got some coaching with Andy Chiodo. But just overall, he got back to his game. And that's so huge for the Penguins moving forward, because if he can even do half of what he did tonight and just go back to last year, then the Penguins won't have to give up prime assets to go out and get a backup goaltender. I know I have been on record saying that the Penguins need to go out and get a backup goaltender. I still stand by that as of right now, but if DeSmith can keep doing this and keep being at least average to above average and giving Tristan the night off on nights that he needs off, because he has played the second most games for a goalie this year. Only Andrei Vasilevsky, I believe, has started more games than Tristan this year. You can't start your goalie 68 to 70 games. That's not where the league is. You can do that maybe a decade or 2 ago. With where the league is now, with how teams are gassed, a lot more frequently, you can't do that. So getting DeSmith right is very important. And tonight, I think, was a very, and I mean a very important step in getting Tristan right, and getting, DeSmith right. So I can't say enough about that performance. He was just, I think, on bath salts for that entire game. And again, I feel bad for the Penguins just because, they couldn't get the win. But coming up in the next segment, we're going to go into what went wrong on the 2 goals that the Penguins gave up, talking about why John Marino just needs to be better in front of the net. We're also going to touch on the shootout, just, my overall thoughts on that, the overtime, couple of other things, the power play as well. Before we do that, it is a new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, but made even better than a candy bar as well. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good, you'll want to eat it unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill, you want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking, this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? That's the thing. Built bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, you can at least eat something that tastes good and is good for you. That way, when you enjoy a delicious Built Bar, you can almost count it as a workout. Remember, most of them can contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, and there is 17 grams of protein. There's so many to choose from coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, cookies and cream, mint brownie, etc. You can go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Now, have you been to an art museum lately? And no, that's a serious question. Heck, there's a better question for you. When was the last time you felt welcome at an art museum? It can really feel like as a hockey fan, you don't belong in the art world, but it's really the perfect place for us when you think about it. Great hockey fans are passionate. We are dedicated. We just so happen to know that the Mattress Factory, Pittsburgh's own contemporary art installations museum, has partnered with the Penguins. Well, they had the ticket package for this week's game against the Red Wings. They are probably going to have more ticket packages going forward. I would not be surprised if there is one for the game on Sunday against Los Angeles or one on Tuesday against the Washington Capitals. Remember, they do not, in fact, sell beds. They have full room installations featuring artists from all over the world, including ones from right here in Western Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh has so many incredible museums, and this is just one way the Penguins are helping us. So check them all out. Remember, visit mattress.org/GoPenguins for more info on that. All right, welcome back to this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Also follow the show's Twitter, LO_Penguins. So let's get to what went wrong on the 2 goals. First one, well, honestly, I should say this for both of them. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on with my sinuses right now as I'm recording this. John Marino, he needs to be a lot better in front of the net. On the second one especially, he's following Zadina around the net. And this is a player who hasn't scored in his last 20 games, by the way. There's a lot of trade speculation with Phil Zadina. Anyways, going back to my original point. He's following him around the net when there's no reason to do that because the puck is not in a high danger zone. And then by the time he gets back to the front net, it's too late because Zadina basically already has the puck and then Marino is out of position. He needs to stay, right near Casey DeSmith to make sure that, he's not allowed back in front of the net. And then he's just really soft as Zadina gets the puck for that second goal. It's bad net front coverage. It needs to get cleaned up. And I hate to harp on the guy because I do like when he brings to the lineup. I like him as a player. He's not, he doesn't treat the puck like a grenade when he has it. I know I've been vocal about his offensive inefficiencies just because he doesn't score a lot. His playmaking ability, it's not there a lot of times, especially this season. I think, in his third year in the league, he's looking more like the player we saw last year compared to his rookie year where, he was getting some Calder Trophy consideration before he broke his jaw or cheekbone. But this year, he doesn't have that. And then when you combine all of that with just his bad play in front of the net, it's not a good combination. And in the first one as well, just, being way too passive. He's got to get a little physical there. And I hate saying that just because physicality in hockey, I feel like is so overrated. But in that kind of situation, you got to get at least a little bit physical. Get your guy out of the way. Make sure DeSmith can actually see the puck in those situations and that he's not put in a position to fail because that's what Marino did. I think that's the most important thing here. He put his goalie in a position to fail. And that's why the Red Wings scored their 2 goals. It has nothing to do with the Penguins' power play, being too passive with the puck and all that or not missing clears. It's just that, Marino in front of the net, he was not good enough. And that needs to change moving forward. I'm not going to subscribe to the notion that, he needs to be traded over the offseason. There's still half a season left. We got to see what happens here. Maybe they need some defensive help at the deadline. I'm not really sure I'm there yet. I want to see what keeps happening moving forward. But it's no secret that he needs to play better. This is not the John Marino that I saw a couple of years ago. I've been wanting his offense to turn around, but, overall, just these last 8 or 10 games, he needs to be just more aggressive in front of the net. And this is funny because people said the same thing about Pettersson, but the thing with Pettersson was he actually was pretty good at boxing out his own man in front of the net. It was always that, he's like soft behind the net, which is just not true. I mean, that's just a myth. But Marino, that actually applies to you because I think he is soft in some areas, and I'm tired of watching him just continually screw up in front of the net and in the process allow goals that should not be going in because those should be clears in those situations and he should be getting the puck out. So that's just kind of my long rant on John Marino, and that's just how to fix him. He needs to be more physical. He needs to play them better, and he just needs to make better. He just needs to have better situational awareness. Is I think what I'm trying to say here. That's just how I would do it or attack it if I were John. Hopefully Todd Reardon can work with him here moving forward. As for the shootout, at the end of the day, I don't really give a crap about shootouts just because they all go away for the playoffs. So who cares? I know the team has struggled this year. But the biggest thing for me, this team has so much talent, but outside of Chris Letang, and I'll get to him in just a second, I don't understand why so many players on this team come in and just shoot it. You're allowed to make a deke. I have said that probably 5,000 times on this podcast for those that have listening a lot longer. For the new ones here, I would like to see some creativity in that regard. Sidney Crosby, he's 40% on shootouts, right? But he keeps coming in and either just trying to go, blocker side, glove side, or he's going 5-hole. And it's like, buddy, you're allowed to make a move forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, something like that. You're a top 5 player of all time. You're still a top 5 player in the game today. Act like you're in a shootout. And that sounds kind of like aggressive to say, but I just want to see him actually do something just because when I always see him come in, I'm like, well, this is probably 9 out of 10 times now he's not going to score. But yet the last time they were in a shootout just a few days ago, he did. So I guess that was the 1 out of 10 times at this point. Jake Guentzel, I would like to see the same thing. He's one of the best pure goal scorers in the league. He's the best pure goal scorer on the team. I would like to see more than him just, skating in and just, I like the head fake that he did, but it was just kind of like a soft little backhand shot that I don't really, I didn't really care for. So, to Chris Letang though, the thing is, his attempt was really good. He did his patented. He has obviously 2 moves. His forehand, backhand, top cheese. Always, I love that one. But he decided to do backhand, forehand. He had Pickard beat. That's the thing. It was going to go in. He just put it in the wrong spot. Go back and watch it. It hits his shoulder by accident. If it goes a little bit more to the right, that's in. Tied in the shootout, DeSmith would have to go make another save with how he's playing. He probably would have, and then, we'll see what happens in, the 1-in-1 rounds. But, I like Letang's attempt. I wish that one went in, but at the end of the day, it's a shootout. Who really cares? And, at the end of the day, I know the team has struggled. Though, Lucas Raymond had a heck of a move on DeSmith, just kind of had a nice fake, put it, 5-hole. And, that was the decider for the Penguins to lose in the shootout. 3-on-3 wise, the Red Wings had a lot of zone time. You don't really see the Penguins get shut down on 3-on-3 with how much talent that they have. That they can put out there. I know Evgeny Malkin was pretty gassed out there at times. And, I've been seeing this take on social media and a couple other places that people are afraid for their lives when Evgeny Malkin is out there. I mean, if you're talking about if he's gassed defensively, then sure. But he's your second best offensive threat on the team. Why are you scared when he's out there? I don't really understand that logic, I guess, when he can do things on this team that only one other player can probably do. So just kind of want to see that talk go away. I guess I'm fine with him getting a lot of minutes. I thought Sid, Sid would have had a breakaway towards the end of it if that pass was just a little bit, faster and the puck wasn't on edge, because Sid was well behind the defense, but he had to wait for the puck, which was, a lot more annoying than, if the puck was not, just on edge and if it was actually going a lot quicker. One more thing before we get to the commercial break to touch on the game against the Kings on Sunday. Overall underlying numbers, the Penguins, I've been saying this, before I came onto the podcast. They had a really bad first period. The Red Wings had 66% of the shot attempts. After that, Penguins caved them in a little bit. In the second period, 58% of the shot attempts, 60% of the shot attempts in the third. Penguins ended up with the edge at 50.5% of the shot attempts. Scoring chances wise, The Red Wings led in that department 22-18, though in the final two periods, the Penguins led 15-12. They just had a really bad first, but they then turned it on the rest of the game. They kind of got a little unlucky with the saves that Pickard was making. And then the Red Wings also led in high danger 9-7. They also led in expected goals for with 2.59, 1.63. For the Penguins. All situations, it was even for shot attempts. The Red Wings had the edge in scoring chances, also the edge in high danger, and they had the edge at expected goals. So honestly, any way you look at it, it was close to an even game. The Penguins had a little bit of the better of the play in the last 40 minutes, but that first 20, if they show up a lot better in that regard, they probably win this game in regulation, at least in my opinion. But at the end of the day, they only gave a point away. They basically think of it as they won against Seattle and then they lost in regulation against Detroit. That's fine. So with that, if it was not 17, so right now they were what? They're 17-2 in their last 21 games. Think of it now as it would be 18 and what? Was it 18-2-1 or something like that? Math is not my strong suit here, people. If I'm wrong, that's sad. But they would have 18 wins. I believe they would have 3 losses and they would have 1 overtime loss. So that's fine. I don't really mind that at all. Or no, I believe it would be it would be 18-2-1. So that's fine. They're 17-2 now. At the end of the day, you're still banking points, and that's the biggest thing. So coming up in the next segment, we're going to do a small preview of the game against the Kings before I'll send you off for the rest of the weekend. But before we do that, there might be less football being played, but BetOnline has way more stuff to bet on this football season, from scores, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to win. BetOnline is the #1 spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to get started. And it's not just football betting. It is not just football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online betting destination. That is BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, welcome back to this episode here of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at LO_Penguins. Probably do a little shorter segment than some of the other ones here. But, big game on Sunday against the Kings, and this will be their 3rd game again in almost 3.5 days, which is crazy to think about. This team badly needs a break. I mean, I think that's kind of obvious at this point. Their play has been, I wouldn't say underwhelming this month, but a little bit inconsistent. It's just crazy that they continually get results. As I've said so many times, they're 17-2 in their last 21 games. But, they have a big challenge on Sunday just because the Kings are coming to town. That is a team that smoked, and I mean smoked, the Penguins just a couple of weeks ago. Also, as of scoring right now, the Wild are up 3-2 on the Rangers. So if this result holds, the Penguins will be first in the Metropolitan Division going into Saturday. How about that? Yes, they have 4 games, and the Hurricanes have 4 games in hand, but you know what? They'll be in first place. So at the end of the day, I don't really care. But also, like I said, the Kings come to town. I mean, they honestly gave the Penguins their worst performance of the season. LA is a sneaky good team this year. They have 52.6% of the expected goals, 54% of the actual goals. They have 54% of the shot attempts at 5v5. They have a +14 goal differential. Jonathan Quick has been insane this year. The Kings' overall save percentage is .929. They're 2.27 goals for per 60, but where they're really making their name is their defensive play. 1.88 goals against per 60. If we go to Jonathan Quick's overall numbers, he is right behind Tristan Jarry. 15 goals saved above expected, 952 save percentage on unblocked shots, 914 overall save percentage, and a 2.53 goals against average. This just came out of nowhere with him because it looked like he was going to be giving up the net. Goaltending is very volatile. That's just how it is. It's the most, I think it is the hardest position to predict in this sport, just because, analytics play a part in goalie. I struggle with some analytics with goaltending, and the only stat I will look at is goal saved above expected because it's the best one. I think goal saved above average is not that good, but that's the one position where I think the eye test definitely comes more into play than just some underlying numbers. And at least that's just my opinion. We all saw what happened last time. The Penguins. This was a tied game for a little bit in the third period, but then LA started taking it to them again. And again, the Penguins just did not have it that entire game. I would expect Quick to start in that one. Kopitar on the top line with Kemp and Iafallo. Kempe, excuse me, has just been unreal this season. He's been one of their best players. It's come out of nowhere. Arvidsson with the note on the second line. Quentin Byfield was just called up, and he actually got his first NHL goal against Islanders, so congratulations to him. He is going to be a force in this league. There's a reason why he was selected in the top 3 of the NHL draft just a couple of years ago. He is that good. Dustin Brown with Andreas Athanasiou with Byfield on the third line, and then Brendan Lemieux on the fourth line. Drew Doughty, top defense. He's had a renaissance here. Ole Mata is, of course, still there. So this is going to be a fun game. The Kings actually play an entertaining style of hockey now, and I think the Penguins are going to want to get back at them for that embarrassing loss that they suffered just a couple of weeks ago for the California road trip. Remember, that's a 1:00 start time right before the NFL playoffs. The game will be ending 30 minutes after the Chiefs Bengals game, so I'll be able to watch that one as kind of like an appetizer to the main course for the 2 football games for that day. So that's just a small preview what we're looking for with the lineup and just how good the Kings have been this year. You got to attack them down low. You got to play sound defense against them because they have a lot of pure finishers on this team that will make you pay. In an instant, you got to get traffic in front of Jonathan Quick. That's just the biggest thing with how great he's been this year. He's one of the most athletic goaltenders in the league. You can't let him just, go side to side with ease and make sure he sees everything. You got to put traffic in front of them, make it as hard as you can because this is not the same Jonathan Quick that we have seen the last couple of years. So that'll do it for this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. Thank you all so much for listening to this one. And also, overall, thank you all so much for making this month of January one of the most listened months in Locked On Penguins history. We're up 15% from last month with December, which is crazy. I can't thank everyone enough that continually downloads this podcast on a daily basis. You are the reason why I do this every single time. I look forward to doing this every day, and I'm glad that I'm in a rhythm. When I record these, sometimes they're late at night, sometimes they're during the day. Can't thank you all enough. So that'll do it for this episode. I appreciate all of you listening. We're back on Monday for a fresh set of 5 episodes for next week. Talk to you all then.